let's switch now to Matt Ryan. All right, this is the Money Down Pod. I'm Kayvon Izami at Kayvon_sports. That is Sean White at Dumpster Fire Fan. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. I want to get into this about Matt Ryan. Look, anybody that's been following this show for a while, Falcons are my everything. To me, Matt Ryan's the greatest Falcon in the history of the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I think he is that. I think he is everything. He's the most professional quarterback I've ever seen. He's took so many sacks on the chin, and he just gets back up. The guy's incredible to me. I absolutely love him. Everything about him. This is what I want to hit on here. First of all, I'm so glad he went to the Colts. He deserves to go to the Colts. The Colts got better. The Colts could have a really good year with him. They do have some issues on that line, but I still think it will be good. Thought they might go get Armstead, but I guess they just didn't want to pay that price. The Dolphins got him. This is my thing that I want to talk about here about Matt Ryan. There's a lot of Falcons fans out there that for years on end now have complained about Matt Ryan and have said, Matt Ryan's holding us back because he can't run or he doesn't have that strong of an arm. Matt Ryan's holding us back. We could win the Super Bowl if we were able to upgrade the position. I just want people to understand this. And this is just, Sean was grateful enough to start this podcast and invite me on, so I have a platform to say this. The Falcons fans were spoiled. We have been spoiled for his 14 years in Atlanta, okay? I understand we didn't win a Super Bowl. I understand that. But we were absolutely spoiled, and this is why. Sean, teams they wait decades. I mean, your team, bro. Your team. Your team. They wait forever to find a quarterback. You guys finally got one. Look at what the Browns just did because the Jets can't find a quarterback. Maybe they have something here. Teams are so bad for so long because they can't find a quarterback. There's a reason why it's so hard to get rid of someone like Matt Ryan. There's a reason why that. And there's so many people out there, man. And I am praying I'm wrong about this. But there are so many Falcons fans out there that are about to realize how hard it is to find a quarterback. Like, you can just flip some damn switch and you're going to find your guy. Oh, because you drafted one this year? Because you drafted one next year? Who knows if they pan out? It is so hard to find a franchise quarterback. And because the guy never won you a Super Bowl, you think that we need to upgrade from him. When really, he took us to 2 conference championship games. He took us to a Super Bowl game. He took us to more playoff appearances during his 14-year span than the franchise did during the 42-year span before him. Like, there is a very good chance, Sean, that the Falcons are now going to become the Cleveland Browns and are searching for a quarterback for 10 plus years. I mean, there is a very good chance of that. It is so freaking hard to find a quarterback. It's so hard. And people just think we're going to be able to snap and find one. That's an absolute joke, man. We took Matt Ryan for granted, and I hate to say it, and I pray I'm wrong. But a lot of Falcons fans are going to realize that in the next couple years if we're not able to get this right. Maybe we'll look into one. Look at the Chiefs, bro. The Chiefs didn't have playoff success for 50 years until they got Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, they made the playoffs a couple years under Alex Smith and all that stuff. They didn't do shit until they finally, and they pretty much lucked into Patrick Mahomes, getting him at number 10. Like, this idea, bro, the Bears haven't had a quarterback in 70 years, it feels like. Like, this idea that you're just going to get a quarterback is outrageous. And it's very scary to say that a lot of these fans are about to realize the hard truth now, man. Matt Ryan was incredible. He was our franchise. He saved us at our lowest moment. We were dealing with Michael Vick going to prison. We had Joey Harrington as our quarterback in 2007. And Matt Ryan comes in and takes us to an 11-5 playoff appearance in his rookie year. And everything was great since. It's just, these people, man, these people that don't understand that, they're going to realize it now.
Yeah, I didn't know you had fans out there that was doing that.
Yeah, a lot of them, man. A lot of them.
Step over to the dark side. I mean, every
They're
Jags fan
about
would
to.
vote for 14 years for that to happen. We had Chad Henne, Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, and Minshew over that time. You think we wouldn't have loved Matt Ryan for 14 years? Like,
Exactly. Man.
oh man, and I'm sure you get the whole "it was Julio and the weapons around him" thing.
Yep, all the time.
Yeah. I get the whole they throw that out there. I figured, but he's got to throw it to him. I mean, good God, Peyton Manning was throwing to Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne his whole career. Nobody.
He's also never had a defense. He's never had a defense.
I was going to say y'all have a terrible defense like every year. Y'all are 40 points a game when y'all are killing everybody. Like those 2 great years you had, the Super Bowl year and the other year leading up to it. Y'all scoring like 35, 40 points in playoff games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've never been able to build a pass rush. The two times where he had top 5 offensive lines, he took us to the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. 2 times. Other than that, we've never been able to build a top 5 offensive line. We've never been able to build a defense. He's actually the only quarterback to ever lead a team to 11 or more wins and to a Super Bowl game with a defense that was ranked 25th or lower in points per game. So like you said, we were scoring 40 points a game to get there. So I'm just telling you, man, there's a lot of fans out there since like 2018 saying Matt Ryan needs to go. Matt Ryan sucks. Matt Ryan's the reason we didn't win the Super Bowl, all this stuff. And it's just like, I pray I'm wrong, man. I pray I'm wrong, but there's a very good chance they're going to see the hard truth in what life is like without a quarterback like Matt Ryan.
So I don't understand the Matt Ryan slander at all, and I'm glad you got to go on your rant there about that because that's important to get your opinions out there. But if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm doing nothing but thanking Matt Ryan for everything he did because that's the only take you can have. So what you're talking about though about quarterback hell and being in quarterback purgatory, stuff like that, I will say that y'all handled it correctly. I saw a bunch of Twitter conversation talking about, oh, it's time to go trade for Baker then, or you need to go pick up Jimmy G, or you need to trade up and draft Malik Willis. I even saw that. It's like, no, you're doing it right. You have the cap space coming after next year.
Yeah.
Just be bad this year. It's time to be bad. Get a top 5 pick and take one of these. You got 2 high-end quarterbacks in the draft next year, and then you got 3 that can rise up there that are pretty good. You need to get one of them in next year's draft. Hopefully you pick right. I know you're concerned about that. And you should be because it's a hit or miss game when it comes to quarterbacks. But that's what you need to do. They're definitely picking the right plan of building. I'm going to go on to Matt Ryan because as complimentary as I was about his 14 years in Atlanta, I think we're a little overhyping him to the Colts, and that's my opinion of it. I think there's a lot of people that's like, oh, just a deep run. He's so good on the Colts, this and that. I think this is kind of the Phillip Rivers situation to the Colts, in my opinion. I think he has a little more left in the tank than Phillip, probably another two years than Phillip did. I think this is kind of what you're looking at. I think he's an older quarterback. He definitely has had a decline in arm strength, in my opinion, over the last 2 years. He isn't mobile, so you got to have the offensive line, which the Colts do have, but they don't have a ton of playmakers either. And I just think in a stacked AFC, the way you have Mahomes, the way you have the Josh Allens, the way you see Herbert and the AFC West with Russell Wilson and the Raiders and everything, you're going to have a more dynamic quarterback, in my opinion. I think they can make the playoffs for sure. The division is bad. I think they can maybe win a playoff game. But I think some of these people hollering Super Bowl, I think they're wrong on that. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to stabilize the Colts, which, again, is something that I'm going to throw out as a take that I know a lot of Colts fans probably don't like and a lot of people don't like. I think Ballard's a bit overrated, and that's my opinion of it. I think there's times in the league where you've got to go all in on something. And Ballard's just refused to trade up and get a young, dynamic quarterback. He's refused to do it his whole time. He loves to keep his picks. You thought they'd go after Armstead left tackle. Ballard was too cheap to do that. Ballard loves his cap space. He loves his draft picks. And that's something that, while, yeah, it makes you look good as a GM, you win every trade, you do this and that, he's also way too conservative, in my opinion. And this is a conservative move. This is I'm going to make the playoffs next year. but I don't really believe that he can really believe that they're going to win the Super Bowl either, unless some very good fortunate breaks go their way. And that's my issue on Chris Ballard getting the praise that he gets. I think he needs to be more aggressive. And I think there are probably some Colts fans out there that do agree with me that they need to spend more, that they need to make some bigger trades and get more dynamic. I think this stabilizes him. I think he's more of an adult than Wentz. And I think they definitely make a playoff push. I don't think they have any shot of winning the Super Bowl, but that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, no, there are. I actually work with the Colts fan, and I reached out to him right when I said, congrats, man. I freaking love Matt Ryan. He goes, no offense, dude. I'm tired of this crap. And I was like, don't tell me you're about to slander Ryan. He said, no, this has nothing to do with Ryan. I want a young quarterback. Like, I want a quarterback that's not just going to be here for a year or two. And so that you definitely have some Colts on your side about that. And just because they got Matt Ryan doesn't mean they're out of this, bro. Give it a year, maybe 2 years. Maybe Ryan can be stretched to 3 years. I mean, I still think Ryan can play. Like, he showed that with very little weapons, which, by the way, the Colts don't have very many weapons. What they do have is the best weapon you can have, and that's Jonathan Taylor. And Ryan has always shown if he has a run game, like when he had Michael Turner, he can do something special. When Devontae Freeman was at the top of his game, he can be a really good quarterback when he has a run game. That's for sure. But that's when he was younger also. So I'm with you. I don't think they can win the Super Bowl. I do think that they can win the division. I think that he is good enough to help them win that division. I do think that that you guys obviously got better, and I think the Titans got better too by getting Austin Hooper and Robert Woods, but they still have Tannehill. So I don't think that they can win the division, but I do think that they'll be good. But you're right, man. The Colts still at the end of the day have an issue, and they got to figure out a long-term quarterback here. He might come in there. The one thing is he's going to come in there, and the whole team and the whole organization, the whole city is going to absolutely love him. He is going to be the best locker room guy out there. And I do want to give one warning to Colts fans, though. Matt Ryan has always been known to do much better in his second year with the offense in the offensive system than the first year. It's happened with Kyle Shanahan. They went 8-8. The second year, he got that system down. They went to the Super Bowl. Happened the first year back when he was with Mike Smith and all that stuff. Like, it takes time. In this first year, I know they're going to expect him to get off running and all that stuff. They should, because Frank Wright's system's great and all that stuff, but it might take some time to get rolling too. That's just something to look at. But other than that, the Colts had to do this. They had no other option. I think it's better than going after Mayfield, in my opinion, because I just think the issue with Wentz was not just the play. There was also locker room issues. And I think bringing in a guy like Mayfield, this was just the perfect locker room consummate pro that you can bring in. Is it going to bring them a Super Bowl? No, but I do think it will take them to the playoffs.
Yeah, completely agree with that point of view. They are going to, like I said, they're basically doing the same thing they've done the last 4 or 5 years. They're going to be a solid team.
Yeah.
But they're going to be in quarterback purgatory because they're not going to have any way of getting another quarterback. Yeah. And Ballard refuses to lose a trade compensation-wise and just overpay for anything. And that's just his prerogative. That's how I view Chris Ballard as. He loves to win every trade, and he just gets a high off feeling like he fleeced somebody. But in the end, you don't get the player you need, and you get beat by players out there when you play in the NFL. You get beat by the other team's great players going at you. And I will say this, you're speaking on Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan is going to make their offense better than it was last year. Their defense is going to be worse because, speaking from the Jags fan that knows Gus Bradley, they're going to go to play a cover 3, and they're going to get torched constantly is what's going to happen. And every time Ngakwe's out there on the edge, Derrick Henry's going to run at him. So that's what's going to happen on defense. So you better hope Matt Ryan brings some of that carrying a defense thing that he did a little bit with Atlanta, because the Colts defense is not going to be as good as it was last year, in my opinion. With Gus Bradley out there, it's going to be cover 3, and all these quarterbacks can throw deep now. So that's how it is.
No doubt. And then one last thing on Atlanta here now. I completely agree with you. As this was the right time for all this to happen. Terry Fontenot said in his press conference this morning, they were sick and tired of every year, do we have to push this contract out? Do we have to restructure this guy? they are finally about to be in a situation where it doesn't have to be 1 year, 2 year deals in free agency. They can go and spend. They are finally in a, and listen, I know that they still, Fontenot and Arthur Smith are so against using the word rebuild. They won't use it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a rebuild, okay? Like, this year is not going to be good. Mariota has very good sparks, and he could come in and win some games for sure, but also, I wouldn't count on Mariota getting hurt by game 3 or 4. Like, seriously, there's a good chance Mariota gets hurt, and Felipe Franks, who should never, ever, ever be starting as a quarterback in the NFL, comes in, and the Falcons win 2 games all year. Like that's very, very possible. And really, that's probably the best thing that could happen. But it needed to happen. I'm glad it happened now. They ripped the Band-Aid off. I'm positive that Arthur Smith had to give Fontenot Arthur Blank had to give Fontenot and Arthur Smith a little pat on the shoulder saying you're going to be okay, because let's remember, they're now in year 2. The way the NFL is these days, usually you enter year 3 and it's time to win. That's not going to happen with this regime now. They're starting from scratch. I'm sure they got the pat on the back to say, you have time. Let's build this the right way. For the first time in 14 years, the Atlanta Falcons are officially going to be looking for a quarterback and building something that we have not had to deal with for 14 years now.
Yeah, I think Blank probably gave him the go-ahead. And then, again, I know this is going to sound bad, but I'm used to it with the Jags kind of constantly going through rebuilds. You want a top 3 pick next year. Let's be honest. That's what you want.
Yes.
You want a top 3 pick. You want the opportunity to get either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, and hopefully one of them ends up being your quarterback. That's what you're looking for, and that should be the prerogative of the Falcons. I don't think that y'all have any shot roster-wise to really get above the 5-win mark, really, if we're being honest.
I agree.
With the weapons you have and with how Mariota is as a quarterback, you need to get the best young players you can get in this draft and then go all in with free agency over the next 2 years with a young quarterback. I think that's the best way to get out of where you're at right now. I think that's the smart move. I think that's what y'all are going to do. So it's fun to watch the rebuild. It's hard to see all the losses, but it's fun to watch your young players go up there and see what you can build out of it.
No doubt. And again, like, this is being very optimistic, but if they are able to hit on a quarterback next year, things can turn around like that. Like, we still have Kyle Pitts. We still have Calvin Ridley. Like, we either are going to have Ridley on the roster, or we're probably going to get a 2nd or 1st round pick for him. Like,
I think Ridley stays now. I think Ridley stays. You want to be bad this year, he stays. Like,
I think so too. I completely agree. I think so too. So you have a rookie quarterback coming in next year with Ridley, with Kyle Pitts, with whoever we draft this year, hopefully a receiver and a running back and all that stuff. Like, if they hit on the quarterback, which is a massive if, things can turn around quick, and we'll see if that happens from